So much. Um, Good evening, guys. Thank you so much for joining the session. And I would really appreciate if you can keep your videos on because if we can see each other, it makes the interaction so much more meaningful. Um, Having said that, thank you so much. Thank you. I can see a lot of videos going on. Excellent. That's very encouraging. Thank you so much. Okay. I'm going to keep sharing and then not sharing my screen on and off because once I share, I can't see you all, right? So I'm going to share and then again unshare. Uh, we have all gathered here today to talk about relationships, to understand how we can navigate relationships. And I would like to establish one context before we move ahead that we are all surrounded with relationships, right? Personal, professional, transactional, right? There are too many layers to the relationships that we have around us. And therefore, as social animals, humans are social animals. We learned that, I think, a long ago in school. So, as social animals, it is important that we have meaningful relationships in various setups so as to be, so as to feel fulfilled and so as to be able to kind of feel that we are efficient, self efficacy, right? And a lot of self efficacy is derived out of meaningful and effective relationships that we have around us. Having said that, um, a lot of our relationships these days are defined by social media, right? And there is a little comic strip which I would like you all to take 30 seconds and go through before we move on. And then there is that prompter question for all of you. Feel free to unmute and answer. Feel free to record your responses in the chat window. And after a while, I will stop sharing and then look at your responses there, right? So, Peanuts, the comic strip. All right, I'm going to stop sharing now, trusting that you have gone through the uh, whatever the comic strip was. These days, I interact with a lot of youngsters as well as adolescents, and when we talk about friendships and relationships and friends, they often tell me that they have so many friends on Facebook, or even Facebook is actually quite outdated now. But that's what they say, why don't you try genuine relationships, is what the comic strip also said. So, what according to you is a genuine relationship? What do you think are the features of a genuine relationship? I would love to hear from all of y'all. Y'all can unmute, y'all can put your responses in the chat window. Come on, guys.
Be transparent.
Okay, excellent transparency. I'm not going to read out your names just so that you don't feel put on a spot. Supportive is what is there in the chat. When each feels for the other, understands, connects, mutual understanding, trust, help, loving without conditions, excellent, trust and respect, yes. All of this uh, and more. So let me take you through the next bit of slides. Healthy relationships make you feel safe, they make you feel understood, they make you feel valued, and they make you feel wanted. Have we been in a place, or any of us at any point of time, have we been in a place where we've felt not valued or not wanted in a certain setup? And what could be the emotions that come out of such a relationship? It could be at work, it could be at home, it could be within your friend circle, right? It is important that we feel safe and secure and we feel understood, right? But we've all been through situations where we've not felt this way, correct? So, what are the emotions that you feel at that time? How is it that you feel at that time when you do not feel understood, valued, or wanted in a particular relationship? My eyes are on the chat. You feel neglected, excellent. Unimportant, okay. You feel like you want to move out of there, you don't belong there. Disappointed, all right. Hurt, betrayed, yes, that was the word I was waiting for. Betrayal, yes. Confusion, self doubt, very important, yes. Taken for granted, because when you feel valued, when you feel wanted, it is like an external validation that I am important to people around me. So when I am not understood, when I feel misunderstood, when I feel not valued or undervalued, then I start feeling very confused, or even self doubt starts creeping in. Yes, taken for granted, not in their priority list, which makes you feel very, very bad, right? Yes. So self doubt can set in, and it might create a very, you know, unhealthy kind of a mind space, unhelpful kind of a mind space for us, from where it's difficult to function as efficiently as we otherwise can. All right. Moving on, what are the different aspects in a relationship? When I asked you about genuine relationships, a lot of us said respect, trust, honesty, transparency. Also, and very important feature is reciprocation, right? So, is there enough respect between the two parties involved in a relationship, whether it is a personal relationship or a professional relationship? If I do not feel respected, or if I do not respect the other person, then there might be lots of conflicts, right? It's very plain and simple. I mean, there is nothing this thing about it. It's self-explanatory, and have we all been in such situations? Can I have a show of hands? Yes, yes, correct. All right. Reciprocation is also very important. Sometimes we feel that, we are putting in everything for that particular relationship, but we are not getting it back in that magnitude or with that intensity. Agree? Most of us? These are simple words, and if we look at it, we also feel that, it's a very direct uh, impact that your relationship will have if these things do not exist. But are they simple to come by? Yes, we must respect, but respect in what sense? Can someone tell me? Respect is not only respecting the other individual. What else should we respect about a relationship? All right, there are a lot of responses in chat. I'm so glad. Space, excellent. Respecting space, respecting their thought processes, respecting their choices, respecting their beliefs, respecting their opinions, excellent, right? So, is it valuing opinions? Yes. So, while you are telling this, while you are putting this down into the chat window, may I also ask that, do you think it's easy to come by? When you have your own belief, which is so deep rooted, when you feel that, okay, no, this is the right way to handle this particular conflict, is it really easy for us to keep our minds open to other people's opinions and beliefs? And is someone talking? Sorry, was it for me? No, I don't think so. All right. Not possible to always be open. So, bringing in that kind of respect in a relationship is not as easy to do as it is to say, correct? Even reciprocation. Um, Even if the other person is doing everything in their power, I may not feel reciprocated, right? Because expectations may not be matching, or expectations may not have been set clearly. Have we been in situations where we thought we've done our best, but the other person came back with a feedback that, I don't think this was right. I think it should have been done this way and that way. And then we feel that, oh, but I never knew. I mean, if I had known that these were the expectations, yes, Rachel says yes. Thank you so much. So, when reciprocation is also a little tied up with our expectations and how we have set expectations between the two people. Okay. The other thing is trust, right? Can you all tell me certain issues that come around trust in your relationships? My manager gives me a job but then keeps micromanaging. I feel I am not trusted enough. A senior person gives me a task, but then they keep asking me about it, and I feel that I'm not, you know, being trusted enough because every little thing I'm being checked on, right? Has this happened to some of us? Maybe not in a professional setup, but I mean, if you say yes, I'm not going to call out your name, don't worry, but feel free to just respond. Yes, correct? All right. And lastly, transparency. How many of us can say that I have been 100% honest? Is there anyone? Okay, how many of us will agree? Let me stop sharing. I want to see a show of hands. How many of us will say that we have faked a certain emotion or we have hidden a certain emotion from people because we did not want more conflict? All the yeses can raise their hands. One, anyone else? Two, everyone. Yes, okay. So someone has written everyone in the chat window. Yes, 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 yes. All right, okay. So with this, can we think how transparency is difficult to come by? Yes, I'm very honest in my relationship, which means I'm not cheating or I'm not lying. But when it comes to honestly stating my opinion, I mince my words or I censor it. We've all done that, right? Whether in personal or professional, we have minced our words so that we do not want to increase the conflict or we feel that we will be judged if we say this, right? I am in a professional setup and I cannot go up to my colleague and say, the way you spoke to me, I did not like, I felt hurt because I feel that I may be judged as how petty she is. She takes in little things and makes a big deal out of it or whatever. So we have always, may not be always, not a very right word, but we have many times in our relationships toned down our emotions, toned down our reactions so that there would not be any conflict. Sometimes we have also just said a yes because we don't know how to say a no. Happened? Again, quickly, show of hands, please. Yeah, happened, right? It is difficult to say a no. How many of you say it's easy to say a no? It's very difficult to say a no, right? To put things down very often. Yes, yes. Okay. All right. Let's go back and see what we can do about it, right? But if we focus on these, aspects of a relationship where we try to build that respect, okay, we try and reciprocate according to the other person's need and not according to my need. If I'm able to build that trust and feel the other person trusted, as also to maintain adequate amount of transparency, then I'm able to express my commitment, right? I'm able to express my commitment to the relationship, whether it is a personal, professional, or a relationship with myself. Okay, in that little comic strip there, you see that Dagwood is the name of this character, and I think Blondie is the name of this comic strip, very famous one, Once Upon a Time. That this chronic fatigue syndrome has a new name, and this is what I have. So I'm going to go and rest. So I express complete commitment towards myself, and I'm not going to allow me to, burn out. Okay. Respect, reciprocation, I'm repeating it, trust and transparency will help you express commitment towards the relationship. It's easier to nod your head, say yes, and please the other person. It is more difficult to say a no. But when we are able to say those no's and we are able to convince the other person why we are saying those no's, we are actually strengthening the relationship because we are showing that much more commitment towards it, right? Setting boundaries again is extremely important. Initially, it might be a little awkward. That particular phase may be a little unpleasant. Setting boundaries is also not very easy. It is extremely difficult, in fact. But if the bond has clearly developed and if we are able to stick to those four aspects of relationships, we will be able to set boundaries. We will also be able to retain those people. And just because you've set a boundary, that person may not move away from you. Okay? We will also then be able to derive fulfillment, because a more transparent relationship, a relationship where expectations are set clearly, a relationship where each person knows their boundaries and it's called out explicitly, it's not assumed, then that relationship is more fulfilling, it's more meaningful, and it's less likely to go downhill because of at least petty conflicts. Yeah, I'm going to just look at the chat and look what. Yeah. Can you talk a little about boundaries? Yes. Is there a specific question you would want to ask me around boundaries? Please go ahead. Then I'll be able to focus, because boundaries is a very, very big topic. Okay. I'm going to wait for your question while I speak about boundaries. Um, what are boundaries? What do you all think are boundaries? There are certain. Okay, there is a response on the chat. How can you define them? Excellent. Good question. Each person is unique. Each person has their own subjective ways of thinking. We are also bound by our own value systems, our own priorities, what we hold in high regard. So it is very subjective what your boundaries are, right? Boundaries might also change with context. All right, like for example, in a work setup, you might have different boundaries from another female worker or employee or peer of yours, right? Or there are boundaries around dressing up, there are boundaries around how you interact with people. So based on your value system, you decide what is okay for you and what is not, and then you stick to it. For example, you might want to just tell your co-workers that I am not okay with uh, you know um, how do I explain this? You might want to set a boundary by telling a person who usually leaves their desk during work hours for long coffee breaks, and you end up answering their calls. I'm just taking a random example, and you may not be okay with it because answering those phone calls disrupts your tasks, and you might want not want to do it. So how do you set boundaries? By talking, telling them that I understand that you need breaks. While I empathize with your side of the story, this is my side of the story. It really causes me a lot of trouble, and therefore I'm sharing this with you. Avoid this if you can. And this is what we call as assertiveness, right? So when we are assertive, we are able to set boundaries. I don't know if I've answered your question, but there is no set specific way of defining boundaries. You might define boundaries using assertiveness techniques of communication, um, and how you decide on your boundaries is very subjective. Okay, yeah, I got a thumbs up. All right, so that satisfies you. um, can we move forward? All right, so let's do an activity. I would want you all to grab a small piece of paper if it's lying anywhere around you, and a pencil or a pen. I'm going to call out some instructions. All right. You've got to follow those instructions. You cannot ask me a question in between. And I'm very glad that there are two cameras still on, but I would request you all to not show what you have drawn on the screen until I ask you all to. All right. So keep your drawing hidden from the eyes of the other participants. All right. So I shall give you 30 seconds and then start my activity. All right. So assuming we are ready, here goes the first instruction. Draw a small circle. That is instruction number one. Draw a small circle. Instruction two. Draw two circles inside the smaller circle. Draw two circles inside the small circle. Done? The third instruction is draw a bigger circle. A circle
Sorry.
bigger than the first circle. Draw a bigger circle. A circle bigger than the first circle.
उसको लिख लो बाद में कर
Now,
लेना
draw a small triangle. Draw a small triangle. All right. And now, this is the last instruction. Draw a hat. Draw a hat.
हेड
Okay.
हेड
Now, can I have some of the participants switch their videos on and show me what they have drawn? Can anyone take a guess at what we were drawing? All right. Close. Thank you. A few more, please.
What was the last
Okay.
instruction?
Last instruction was draw a hat. Okay. All right. Thank you, Kumar. Thank you, Anmol. Pallavi, we can't see your drawing.
I missed one of the
Okay. All right.
instruction.
Okay, no issues, no problem. Can anyone guess what we were trying to draw? Om, yes, I saw yours. Mrinalini, your screen is blurred, so I'm unable to see your image.
Trying to
Thank
draw
you,
Iceman.
Johnson. Yes, we were. Who said that? We were trying to draw a snowman.
Snowman. Sangeeta.
Yeah. Yes, Sangeeta. Yes, we were trying to draw a snowman. But can you see how we've ended up drawing all of this? And has anyone been successful at drawing a snowman? Does anyone's image look like a snowman? Some of y'all, I think, is a little close, but yes, we were trying to draw a snowman. And what do we understand from this activity? What do we understand from this activity? I was asking you to draw a snowman, but you ended up drawing everything else other
The
than the
perception and
snowman.
understanding is
So,
different of different people
different
on the same
perceptions.
thing.
Okay. Correct. Yes. A clear message or instruction is important. Very good. Partial information can be really confusing. Excellent. So, what can help perceptions? What can help us? What could I have done differently to be able to give you the required information? Excellent communication, right?
Asking the right
Communication.
question. Sorry, which
Yes,
was not
Priyanka, go
allowed, which
ahead.
was not allowed. Asking the right question before doing something which was not allowed.
Yes, very good. Excellent. So if I had allowed you all to ask questions, you would have sought relevant information and you would have been successful in making this communication a successful communication, right? Okay. So yes, communication is an essential, and there are other also areas which are important, which we will see now. So what are barriers to creating that healthy relationship? What are the barriers to creating that genuine relationship? How can we bring in respect, reciprocation, trust, and transparency in a relationship? What are the barriers? What stands in the way? Right? Lack of clear communication, setting boundaries, setting clear expectations, um, explicitly and deliberately expressing emotions. It should not be unsaid. It's okay. If I am not thanking a family member, I'm probably taking them for granted, and they deserve to feel valued, they deserve to feel loved, they deserve to feel wanted, right? So call up that family member that you've not spoken to for the last 2 3 days and just say thank you for just being there, or thank you for whatever they have done for you. Call up that friend in the office, just saying that, I noticed that you are a little off these days. Maybe there's something that's bothering you. Know that I am there. You can come up and talk to me. So that is deliberate expression. That is deliberately, we assume a lot of things and we don't say them out, right? But it's important for us to tell people that we love you, we value you explicitly, proactively, deliberately, right? Setting boundaries and deriving respect and deriving fulfillment and all of that will come only when there is clear, deliberate communication. Okay. And then the awareness, right? Awareness of what the other person wants, awareness of how the other person feels, which brings us to empathy also. Look at the comic strip, right? This boy tells Snoopy, I really thought I could devote my whole life to making you happy, and I'm sorry it didn't work out. So this boy is feeling so sad, but Snoopy says, I was already happy. I never wanted anyone to come and do something deliberately. So the awareness, the empathy of what the other person feels, and the more important thing is effort. And can we do this without investment of actual effort and time into maintaining healthy relationships? Right? Any questions here? Anything that struck you when I was talking about this? Something that we might have taken for granted or something that we might have forgotten in our busy lives that comes back to us? Deliberate communication. We haven't been talking enough. We haven't been expressing our emotions enough to people around us. I felt so relieved that you were there by my side on that particular day. Little things. We come to the office, we talk to each other, we share our problems. It could be as simple as, oh my God, there was so much traffic at Silkport today. Bangaloreans will know, right? And just bonding over that common difficulty of overcoming traffic and reaching office in time, that itself is so much, comforting sometimes, because we are all into relationships. These are all transactions, and we need those positive strokes. Correct? We need those positive strokes on everyday basis, right? So, is there anything that struck you on this slide when I was talking about deliberately communicating with people, complimenting people, saying thank you to them, being aware of what the other person may want, being aware of issues that our colleagues or our close family members or friends might be facing, and that little effort, out of the way effort that I can do to make that other person feel better or bring a smile on someone's face. Can we share some experiences or reflections on this, please? Please feel free to unmute and talk. It might not be. Can you all hear me? Anisha, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
you are.
yeah.
Yes,
But
you are
you
audible.
My internet was fluctuating a little, so I thought I would check. Yes, please go ahead, chat or whatever. Share some reflections on this bit here. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. I'm sure we would have expressed our love to our loved ones yesterday at least. So, what was your feedback? How did you feel? How did that feel? Being valued, how did that feel to all of you? Come on, guys. Nobody? Are we typing? I'm waiting. There's nothing on the chat as yet. Feel free to unmute and talk. Is someone talking to me, or is that a banana? Hello? Okay. All right. So I'm going to move on, seeing that there are no responses, but I'm sure we've all gone. Okay, there are some now. Can you repeat the question once? Okay. I'm asking Om if we've been in situations where we have deliberately communicated our emotions to people around us, or we've been aware of their requirements and we've reached out to them, or someone else has reached out to me, noticing that I am not myself or whatever. And how does that feel? That is my question. Satisfied when we are selfless? Yes. When we do something for others, we are selfless. We feel satisfied. The joy of giving? Yes. Anyone else who would want to share some reflections? When was the last time that you spoke to a loved one and explicitly told them, I love you, I thank you, I value you for what you are doing? Just go back and think, reflect. Yes, when people reach out, I really feel appreciated. We do, yes. I did with my kids, okay, Pavna? And how does that make you feel? The way their faces light up. It's easy to give up and go quiet, but the effort is worth it. Yes, absolutely. It is always worth. You know, your one sentence, you might have just said it across the table with a coffee in your hand, but that one sentence of hope and of being available might mean the world to the person next to you. You sometimes it's very difficult to make out this, to understand the storm that goes on behind a person's smile, right? Yes, we feel privileged and important. Yes, agreed. So basically, we all kind of agree that deliberate communication is important, right? And therefore, what we can do to nurture our beautiful relationships and how we can build the bond with our spouses, with our children, with our seniors, peers, juniors, everybody is to be able to do these few things. Yeah, boundaries, to be able to set the right kind of boundaries. Boundaries, somebody asked, I would like to tell you all, can be of various types. There are physical boundaries, there are social boundaries, there are boundaries, you know, uh, in your workspace, in your mental space. Okay, this is what I allow, and this is something that I do not allow, right? There are boundaries around topics. You can talk to me on any topics, but not these. Okay, so there are these said and unsaid boundaries, which we may have to introspect and explore first. What are my boundaries? What am I comfortable with? What am I not comfortable with? And then, based on that, um, communicate with people around me. More importantly, if there's something that is making me uncomfortable, I must be able to openly communicate it and say that I know you didn't mean to hurt me, but when you said this, I really felt this, and I would really appreciate if this does not happen, or if you do it in another alternative way. Okay, so there are many, many ways of assertive and open communication which we may use in order to communicate those things to people. Nurture and care. Nurture and care the relationships, nurture and care the bonds, nurture and care your own emotions also towards different people, right? And then deliberate expression is what I was talking about all this while. Deliberately thinking of something, have we all played Secret Santa in our workplaces? Yes. When you played Secret Santa, have you thought of writing down some good things for people? And people have written down good things about you for you? How does that feel? That is a deliberate expression, right? If you're just working, going about your day feeling so stressed, feeling that, oh, I might not have done my job well. Again, today I am late. I was supposed to take my kids out, and again, this has happened, and I am already feeling so stressed out. And if I get a little thank you note or a post it on my refrigerator or on my laptop or on my desk, it feels, how does it feel? It just gives you that correct amount of positive stroke, that correct amount of energy dose to keep going. Correct? Agree? Yes. Isn't it? Those good vibes help us to move on and get that little motivation and the dopamine kick that we need. Okay? And we cannot do it without time. Okay, I'm also a parent coach, and it's my favorite line which I tell parents, that children spell love as time, and I would like to tell all of you all that each one of us spell love as time. We all want our loved ones time. Your parents or your children or your friends who have been, that this friend is going through something in her life or his life, and I need to go and meet her, and I have been postponing it for a long time. Do it. Now is the time, right? So, deliberate expression with people around you, spending time, finding rituals. In your daily life, I know it's not possible for you to spend time on a daily basis with all your relationships, but having these rituals, weekend rituals, right? Mummy daughter time, daddy son time, and so that each relationship in your house and also at work, you get enough time to spend with all of the required people, all of the significant ones in your life, right? And with that, um, I come to the end of this presentation and this slide, but we have about, say, 15 more minutes to interact, ask questions, put down reflections, and move on then. And there's a small activity that we will do at the end of this session. Okay, so please go ahead. You can share your, um, you know, I got distracted because the poll appeared. You can share your experiences. You can share your reflections. You can share something that you went through with your sharing will help someone else also learn, or someone else also reflect on their this thing.
In case you have any questions or you want to share something, please do in the chat box. If you want to do it anonymously as well.
All
I
right,
think
so I
Anagha, you
think
can.
there are no questions. Yes, sorry, what you were saying?
Yeah, you can go ahead with the activity that you have done.
Yeah.
There's
All right.
question.
So, okay, since there are no questions and we still have a little bit of a time, I would like to just, okay. All right. There's a question. How to better our relationship with someone who is not interested to talk to us, to better the relationship, as that person is important to us. Okay, all right. If that person is not interested to talk to us, I'm assuming there must have been something that happened, right? Because of which this person is a little closed. Try and address the person's emotion. Is the person angry? Is the person hurt? Is the person withdrawn because of something that you did? Try to address that first. Apologies, trying to understand what went wrong might help. If there is nothing of this background or baggage, and the person is genuinely just not interested in talking to you, then let's think about the four aspects of relationship, right? Is there respect? Maybe not as much, because that person may be a very good person, and I'm not judging anybody. But if that person is not even talking to you politely, if he or she is not interested, they can tell that to you. But if they're not telling that to you and they're just snubbing or ignoring or avoiding, then it means that they're not showing enough respect for your emotions towards them. Number one. Number two, there is a lack of is no reciprocation coming out, right? So there is only one way communication that is happening, and there is no reciprocation. Also, there is no transparency because we don't know what is going on in that person's mind, right? There is no compulsion for the person to establish that relationship with you, and that person may be very important to you, but if you are not important to that person, there is, after a certain point, nothing more that you can do except accept the fact that it is unreciprocated, and an unreciprocated relationship may not work out. Okay, if there is anything else I can do to help you, please do reach out to me. um, but I think at this, okay, at this juncture, that is the only thing that I can tell you, given whatever information I have. Thank you for your question, though. It is a very important question. All of us go through these things in life, and it can make, you can end up feeling suffocated, locked up in a bottle of sorts, because it's a very, very difficult feeling to digest. You feel rejected by someone who's so important to you. It can be very overwhelming. If it bothers you, please seek help, please reach out. There's another question here. How do you overcome fear of failure or being hurt in a relationship? I realize not everyone is hurtful, but the fear is still there. Relationship is like a double-edged sword, right? And if you want to take it's like that, when you want to derive pleasure from bungee jumping, you've got to jump and take the risk. So you have to jump and take the risk. How to overcome fear of failure or hurt? Um, to be able to set boundaries, to be able to also understand that I must respect the other person's feelings. So if I have feelings for someone, but they don't have feelings for me, then comes the conflict and then comes the hurt, right? So if I understand that I cannot force the other person to have certain feelings or think in certain ways about me, then I think the fear of failure can be overcome, right? Um, More importantly, not expressing may not take you anywhere, but expressing will at least tell you, okay, I failed. At least you will not live a life of how I wish I had done this. Okay, so go ahead and express yourself. uh, yes, failures might happen, and if they happen, they will be accompanied with a lot of grief and unpleasant emotions, which we will have to deal with, but there is no other way to do it. I don't know if I've answered your question, but that's the best I can do at the moment. How can I build my confidence? Mm, it's a whole session, actually. We will have to evaluate why you think your confidence is not high. We will have to also understand, what do you think are your strengths? What do people around you think are your strengths? So we have to work on self-awareness and self-efficacy, self-belief skills in order to build your confidence. Okay, but if you want, you might want to just right away, as a quick fix, try out some positive affirmations. If you Google up positive affirmations, you will be able to understand that there are these "I allow new beginnings in my life," "I am whole," "I am adequate" kind of affirmations, which might help you build up your confidence. Okay, also try writing. If it's not that I am in less confident in all areas of life, so write down areas in which you feel underconfident. Write down the reasons why you feel underconfident, and then try to look for skills or strengths that you have, which you can use to overcome these barriers. And that kind of a self awareness exercise might put you at ease, or at least give you more awareness about the problem. Okay? Um, how to convince a person who has lots of expectations and just goes on forcing their decisions? There is no trust, nor is there value for what we are doing. How to convince a person who has lots of expectation and just goes on forcing their decisions? Okay, you might want to try assertive ways of communication by saying that, um, you have a lot of expectation from me and you keep telling me to do this and do that. I understand that you come from a place of concern and you feel that I have the potential to grow, so you force me to grow in some ways. However, when you do this, I feel very pressured, and I feel that I'm not trusted or I'm not valued for what I am now. and I'm always expected to keep reaching somewhere else, which is very difficult for me and overwhelming for me. So I am happy the way I am. Would you not, would it not be possible for you also to accept me the way I am? I'm not saying I'll be stagnated, I will continue to try and grow, but these decisions sometimes I feel are forced on me. How can we solve this? How can we change the feelings around this? What can we do about this? Is there a common ground on which both of us can compromise and agree? Okay, so these are certain assertive methods that you can use when you are communicating with people, and tell them that, I know what you're doing because you think you are wanting me to grow, but from my end, it's too much of pressure for me. Okay, anything else? Relationships can be very complicated. All right, so there was a master, a Zen master, and there was this student of his who went up to him and asked that, um, once the relationship and bond is formed, the bond is strong, everything is going fine, and that's it, job is done. So, I mean, after that, once everything is fine and the relationship works fine for a long period of time, then suddenly why do problems start occurring? Okay. So the master called him up and gave him two corners of the garden. And he said, you're going to look after this corner and you're not going to look after that corner. And as expected, after 2 weeks' time, the not looked after corner was full of weeds. Yeah. And the looked after corner was looking much more prim, proper, cared for, happy, right? And then the Zen master, I'm cutting this all short, but then the Zen master told the child, the disciple, that, relationships are like this. The trees have found their roots, they are standing well, but they still need pruning, they still need nurturance, and they still need care and time and effort again. So if we don't put those things in, you're going to have weeds of misunderstanding coming out everywhere, to an extent that the healthier aspects of the relationship may die, the healthier plants may die, and it might be just weedy confusion everywhere. And hence, even if you have formed a relationship and a bond, it is important to keep pruning the unwanted aspects of it. It is important to nurture it and care for it with enough sunlight, water, and whatever you can, manure, and whatever else you can do for your garden, and ensure that your garden is healthy, prim, proper, and happy at all times. So, sustained effort and sustained time investment is extremely important. All right. I now give you 60 seconds to think of three relationships that you are grateful for, three people that you are grateful for having them in your life. And these people who are your support banks, whom you can rely on, trust fall on, okay? And put them in the chat box or write them down in your. I would love to have you all put them in the chat box for you all to know which are those three significant relationships in your life which you must look after like the child looked after his garden. All right. So your 60 seconds begin now, and that's the end of my this thing. That's the last activity, and I would love to see the chat burst. Okay, husband, mother, daughter. It's all started coming in already. Thank you. Come on, we have about 40 participants. My mom, my husband, and my daughter, parents and myself, wife, father, and mother. So, guys, if these are your significant relationships, how have you looked after this garden in the last 2-3 days? Think of it. And what can you do today? Just call them up and say, I value you so much. Thanks for being there for me. You are my world. And things like this, to just make you feel happy and just make them feel happy. Mother, father, my eldest cousin, mom, dad, and best friend, grandparents, parents, and my best friend. You're one of the luckier ones, having grandparents also. Sure. Um, Okay, so I think that was a response to what I said. Go back and give them that positive stroke. Yes. Wife, best friend, and my manager. Okay, shall I call your name out? Just so that your manager feels better. I hope you drop a mail to your manager today. My parents, sister, and best friend. Excellent. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys, for being interactive. It was wonderful interacting with you. It was a great session. I had a good time. And thanks a lot. Thanks once again.
Thank you so much, people, for joining today's session. Thank you so much, Anagha, for doing the session for us on this special day. And I think this has gained a lot of like insight and how to build and nurture relationship. And the last story definitely caught some eyes. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much, Anagha, for doing the session with us. And I hope you all have a great day. And also we have a couple of sessions that's coming up. Please do register. And also I have dropping a gym interest form that we were running in the past. So in case you are interested in taking a gym membership, wherever you are joining, you can just put in the interest and our team will contact you. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.